President Biden is kicking off the presidential election year with a new USA Today Suffolk University poll that shows key voting groups that helped him win in 2020 leaving it behind in 2024. Biden losing support among Black, Hispanic, and young voters. Among Hispanics, Biden has 34% support compared to former President Trump, who's got 39% support. Same story for those under 35. 33% support Biden compared to 37% supporting former President Trump. And then among Black voters, just 63% support the president now, but that's compared to the 87% who backed him in 2020. Let's bring in Wall Street Journal Main Street columnist, Fox News contributor, and former chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush, Bill McGurn. Bill, Happy New Year, unless you're President Biden and you're waking up to these new polls.
Yeah, exactly. I think, look, it's no secret that the president's policies are unpopular. They're not working. But I think he compounds the problem. He's sold Bidenomics basically on the message, if you were smart, you would realize how brilliant my policies are. Right before Thanksgiving, I believe he told the staff he blamed them for his low approval ratings. It's never connected to his policies, which are spend on sort of green priorities. And these groups, a lot of them are vulnerable groups in terms of employment and earnings and so forth, and they're not buying it.
Well, your new op-ed in the Journal, and that's actually out this morning, discusses this proposed bill in California called AC 87, which, quote, takes aim at the state ban on race preferences the voters put in the Constitution in 1996 when they passed Prop 209. The new bill would leave the language of Prop 209 intact, but it would add, quote, add a provision allowing the government to create exceptions. So explain this, because this goes into an election year. This goes into what's happening with voters, in particular in the Golden State. What does this mean exactly?
Yeah, I mean, it's absurd. Do we have asterisks on the First Amendment and the Fifth Amendment? Look, in 2020, the advocates of affirmative action, awarding contracts, college admissions, and so forth by race, proposed to allow that in the Constitution. As you mentioned, it's been forbidden since 1996. And they thought they would win in California. They had about 14 times the money of the opposition, but they were defeated 57% to 42%, quite a thumping victory. Instead of acknowledging defeat, they're now coming back trying to do this in a more dishonest and sneaky way. But I'm not sure anyone's going to be fooled.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, again, if you look at what's happening within these poll numbers from USA Today and the University of Suffolk, I mean, that is obviously very disconcerting to the administration. Some have argued that they're ignoring some key issues like immigration. The Journal's reporting that actually Republicans have a great chance to retake the Senate in 2024, but they note they had that chance in 2022 as well, but abortion access, the economy, Trump's legal problems, those were seen as unpredictable factors. And, that red wave became a red sputter in 2022, in particular with the former president, because a lot of the candidates that he backed lost. Do you think the Republicans are setting themselves up for another rough year and a disappointment for 2024?
I know they don't want to. Look, I think 2024 is a more favorable map for the Republicans. And given the dissension in the Democratic ranks, I think they're very well placed. Now, we'll see. Democrats want to make abortion the issue above everything else. It'll be abortion and Trump as a threat to democracy. I don't know if that'll be enough for Democrats. I mean, the policies of Joe Biden on the border, the economy and so forth, they're just not popular. They can say it as many times as they want, and I think it's going to translate. For example, a lot of border state Democrats really wanted to do something on immigration, but so far he's stubbornly resisted.
James Carville, famous line back in 1992, It is the economy, stupid. And it's going to be the economy again, Bill. Sharice Trump is on set with me. He's got a quick question for you.
Yeah, just real quickly, you know, we mentioned this race issue as being a big deal with this coming election, and I think Americans are just genuinely exhausted about talking about race, and I think they're kind of tired of hearing about it, which is why we're seeing some of these shifts with who's voting for who. But I'm kind of curious, you mentioned the sneaky tactics that states like California are trying to use in order to discriminate and preference certain races over others. After the Supreme Court ruling earlier this year, with the Students for Fair Admissions case versus Harvard and UNC, there was a lot of talk about whether or not universities would attempt to find ways, sneaky ways to get around the negative, the anti-affirmative action ruling on that. So I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on what we're going to see, if we're going to see more of this in states like California with university admissions, et cetera, or if you think that they're going to peter out at some point.
No, I think we're going to see a lot more attempts by this. But people that have had their eyes open, for example, Asian Americans, they realize this stuff is aimed at them. It's going to keep their kids out of Yale and other places where they've earned the right to go there. So I think they're not going to be fooled by these different efforts. It kind of shows the bad faith of people. You know, as I mentioned, it's not just California. I think it was Oregon. In a lot of blue states, solid blue states, people don't like race preferences. And the surveys by Pew show that across the board by race, majorities don't like racial preferences. And yet the left and Democrats are wed to them. And I think it's going to catch up with them.
Well, look at what's happening with corporate America. DEI initiatives, programs, jobs eliminated in 2023. Does it make business sense? And maybe to a lot of these voters, especially you mentioned the Asian Americans, it doesn't make sense to them either. Bill McGurn, it's great to see you, Bill. Thank you.